There have been a lot of people, especially in the past week, before even Sue Gray has even released her report, coming out and saying, oh, it's a complete whitewash. Sue Gray has already decided that Boris Johnson is innocent. You haven't even read the report. But this goes to show, I think, a really bad problem that we have, that a lot of people really do not have faith in our system. And yes, I understand. You know, maybe you've been burnt, betrayed before, but that's not always the case. For example, the Patterson affair recently that happened, that was our system working in practice. That MP was caught red-handed with his lobbying, shown that yes, he had done wrong and that he had, been brought more into the light of day what had happened. And obviously, after what the debacle that again the Tories had caused trying to save Patterson, he had to go. That was our system doing its job. Not one person turned around and said, you know what, that's our system working in practice. And yes, sometimes our system does work, sometimes it doesn't. But that is where we need to look at it and look at how we can improve it. So I am obviously doing this just shortly before PMQs on Wednesday. So who knows what could happen? We are still obviously waiting for a release. The potentiality of this, that this might be delayed because obviously the police are now investigating it. But please do not rush out and immediately come to the conclusion that somehow this report is going to be whitewashed because you don't even know, because you haven't even read it. And as we are saying in this video today, just let Sue Gray do her job. So before we do dive into this video, this article today, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, well, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel that way. So this comes from The Guardian. The title of, In the Name of God, Let Sue Gray Do Her Job. I'm back on the road until August with my 5-year stand-up show, Snowflake Tornado, with the mounting confirmation bias to try and pack rooms of masked elitists. Over the next 6 nights at Oxford Playhouse, I saw the very familiar and friendly staff and crowds return through the historic Eagle and Child pub sadly appears to have closed. It was also here, back in 1933, that apparently that J.R.R. Tolkien thought up the terrifying first fissure of the Crack of Doom after hearing the biblical C.S. Lewis battle and the afterburn of an especially potent O Peculiar. But I'm waiting for an inquiry by a very experienced civil servant, Sue Gray, to decide if this story is true. Dominic Cummings claims to have recorded evidence of the incident, but skeptics suggest it may just be a tape of him squelching his hand under his own armpit. That's why you have Sue Gray looking at all the details. Just let Sue Gray do her job. Sadly, the 2-year pandemic hiatus has rendered my 20-minute routine on what I imagined the new woke Bond film would be irrelevant. But a section summarizing Boris Johnson's dismal career of very flaccid dishonesty now makes a very satisfying conclusion to the show for the performative, if disgusted, crowd. Hopefully until the tour ends in August. Thus, I'm probably the only champagne socialist who wants the party-blind PM to stay. But the prudent thing is to wait for Sue Gray to report. Sue Gray is a very senior civil servant, and Sue Gray is very well able to conduct this investigation. In his co-authored report of the 2012 treatise Britannia Unzipped, the Justice Secretary Dominic Calais-Rabb declared, "The British are among the worst idlers in the world. We work among the lowest hours, we retire early, and our productivity is poor. Luckily, despite their very well documented love of raiding the newly bought £142 Downing Street wine fridge every week for Wine Time Fridays, it appears the staff at number 10 are the exception." Rabb himself justified their right to bring their own bottles to work, saying that they have been working phenomenally hard under grueling conditions. Maybe the fridge was bought for Johnson to try and hide the case of Beth Rigby when asked him a question. No one knows. That's why you have to let Sue Gray look at all the details. Sue Gray across all these issues. Let Sue Gray do her job. On the BBC on Monday night, the PM was incoherently defended by the Education Secretary Nadhim Zahawi, whose taxpayer heated horses were never knowingly underwarmed. And on Sky, the Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries said, strangely, we are waiting for an inquiry by a very formidable civil servant, Sue Gray, to conclude. Did Dorries' severe blunder betray her inner hope that Sue Gray would competently exonerate the boss who she has had to try and answer to? Or was this just a slip of the tongue? Who can be sure? The prudent thing now is for wait to Sue Gray to report. Sue Gray can follow the evidence wherever it takes her, and we must have the patience while Sue Gray carries out her inquiry. And of course, on Sunday, the Conservatives launched Operation Red Meat, a very transparent attempt to try and placate the ravenous direwolves on their far right of the party, with the announcement of a very hosted of poorly thought out populist policies. But the Royal Navy, which, like all the armed forces, is increasingly marketed as a relief agency whose staff just happen to carry rifles, wasn't seen to murder children in the sea just to distract from Johnson's wine and Dorris's habit. And the entire country of Ghana, floated by Priti Patel as a possible offshore processing plant for migrants, set out a press release announcing that with Dorries-like levels of unintended accuracy, that it wanted no part of Operation Dead Meat. What Patel said to Ghana was on board. And Sue Gray will look like all those various issues. And Sue Gray is very likely to conduct this investigation. And Sue Gray will do an absolutely thorough job. And on Twitter on Sunday, Dorries said that next the BBC license fee settlement would be the last. But in Parliament, she said that that wasn't the case, having created some confusion to distract further from her leader's generally assumed criminality. On LBC on Wednesday, the Conservative MP for Boston and Skegness, Matthew Warren, tried to argue that both Dorris's contradictory positions were simultaneously correct, a kind of Schrodinger's license fee that was both the last and not least the last as well. But what was the truth? Sue Gray is across all these issues, and we need to know the facts. That is what Sue Gray is doing. Taking us back to where we began, David Davis concluded PMQs on Wednesday, or last Wednesday, by addressing Johnson in a very famous quote attributed to the Christian mythic and lackey inconsistent Charles Williams, as he waited patiently outside the Eagle and Child toilet cubicle, still occupied by very flatulent C.S. Lewis. You have sat there too long for all the good you have done. In the name of God, go. But has the Prime Minister indeed sat there too long? That is what the Sue Gray inquiry is for. Sue Gray is across all these issues, and Sue Gray will look at all the various issues. That is why you have Sue Gray looking at all the details. Let Sue Gray do her job. The prudent thing now is to wait for Sue Gray to report. Sue Gray is a very senior servant. Sue Gray is very well able to conduct this investigation. Sue Gray will do an absolutely thorough job. Sue Gray can follow all the evidence wherever it takes her. Anything Sue Gray needs to do, she will be able to do. We need to know the facts. That is what Sue Gray is doing. And we request the patience while Sue Gray carries out her inquiry. And that is, of course, what we are doing. Indeed, waiting for Sue Gray to report. And even though obviously this is in a bit of, tongue-in-cheek, piece by Stuart Lee here, that's indeed what we have to do. Don't just jump on this bandwagon and just say, oh, this report is whitewashed before you've even read it, because that is what large sections of a lot of people indeed have been doing. Just wait and hold your horses. Wait to see what she brings forward. Wait for the report to be released and then have at it. But trust me, there is a lot going on to suggest that Boris has done the wrong thing here. Now, will he do the right thing? That's an entirely different question. But there's already enough stuff to be talking about that. Don't be distracted by waiting for Sue Gray to report. Talk about the facts that we know about already. And there are a lot of facts to talk about. Like I say, I could have done a video every day this week just about all the stuff that has gone on, but I've chosen not to do that because, again, other things are happening in the UK, and I think it's just as important to talk about those as, of course, what is going on, of course, with Boris Johnson. As I've said many times before, we are in Boris Watch. No doubt this afternoon I will probably have to change what I thought I was going to do with this afternoon's live stream and probably talk about what happened in PMQs, because no doubt, pardon me, that it is going to be a very lively affair, as it has turned out to be last week. So for all these things, don't jump on the bandwagon. Let Sue Gray do her job. She knows what she's doing. She's a civil servant. Have some faith in the system. So for once, as the article title says, just in the name of God, let Sue Gray just do her job. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all